Okay, I'll admit I'm the idiot. I almost bought in during this past Viking season to the idea that that Kirk Cousins derangement syndrome maybe was done. Like maybe you know all the fourth quarter comebacks, the 13 wins. Even if you're the people who wrongly called it fraudulent and said it didn't matter, because of course 2022 Vikings are the only team in history that actually got denigrated for winning close games. That had been considered a virtue of every team that had ever done it before. Um, even if you're one of those people, even if you're one of these people who you know thinks none of it matters, like it seemed like I bought in that people had finally turned the page on Kirk Cousins and finally accepted that he's a pretty damn good quarterback. Not the elite, not the absolute top of the top. He's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not Josh Allen, although he beat Josh Allen. Um, you know, he's not the top of the top. He's not a future Hall of Famer. But he's very good. And I thought people finally, you know, I thought the KCDS people had come around to this very obvious fact that intelligent people had figured out, years before. Boy, was I wrong. Boy, was I wrong. You know, because it all came flooding back with the last offensive play of the Giants game, the 4th and 8. Um, and that wasn't a good play. Like, I don't, no one has really, that I've seen, has defended the play, like from an overall. Some people think it's more of like, well, why are you even having a play in which there's, a short option like that? I mean, that, when you need 8 yards and you've got a guy running just a few yard route, you know, for the most part though, I haven't seen anyone defending Kirk on that, myself included. I didn't defend the play. I thought it was a terrible play. I'm sitting there at US Bank Stadium and it happens, and I'm just head in my hands, just like, our season just ended. You threw it short. That doesn't mean that one play erases 17 weeks before that. And I know not all the 17 weeks were good, but it does not erase an overall body of work. It just doesn't, any more than any other player. You know, a receiver drops a pass after in a great season. That doesn't mean that the drop pass is the only thing that matters. But with Kirk, it is, because it's always been this way with Kirk. The successes, the wins, they don't mean anything. The failures, the losses, everyone's just nuclear all the time. So obviously, and it's been 2 weeks and a day since the season ended. But I mean, it really was flood. It really was all over the place on Championship Sunday, and you know, most people, like fans who were watching these games yesterday, they're just watching these as games. Like, I'm just watching as games. Like, the NFC game was a fucking terrible game, horrible football game in every way, benefiting the shittiest fan base maybe in all of sports. You know, that sucked. AFC game, very good game, very entertaining. Lots of twists, lots of drama. So me and most people watching these games, and it's okay. These are the games, and hey, it's Eagles Chiefs in the Super Bowl. See what happens. I hope the Chiefs win. I think if Patrick Mahomes is healthy, Chiefs will win. But there's a certain group out there that we're not watching these games as football games, and the people who weren't watching these games as football games are the Kirk Cousins Derangement Syndrome people. Terminal Kirk Cousins Derangement Syndrome. Because these people were watching these games, and every single thing that happened in these games, it's going on social media. Anything that happens is being twisted in a negative way about Kirk. What the fuck did Kirk Cousins have to do with anything that happened in these games yesterday? Obviously, the big one was the play. There was the play in the AFC game where it was a Bengals had like a fourth, and I don't remember what it was. It was fourth and something. They were driving to try to tie the game, and Joe Burrow throws a deep ball, and I think it was Chase came down with it like inside the 10. Really good play, like really, really, really ballsy play. And what did I see about 8 million variations of immediately after that? Oh, someone threw the ball deep on a fourth down with the least on the line. Blah, 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 blah. The, you talk about living rent free in someone's head. Kirk Cousins has like a permanent lease, a rent free lease in the heads of these people. What? How is that the go to on a play like that? Like, okay, yeah, he threw a deep ball. He threw a deep ball on a fourth down, and it worked out, and they tied the game. Now, this isn't a Joe Burrow bash fest, but we're going to bring up the fact that the next drive, when he had 2 drives to with the ball in his hands to potentially go win a game and go to the Super Bowl. One of them he threw just a jump ball interception, just a terrible throw, terrible decision. Got intercepted, and then the last drive they had, he took a sack on third down rather than try to make a play. And I ain't ripping him for it. Like that happens. Offensive line got destroyed on that play. That happens. These people weren't bringing up these plays. No, they're just going back 3 drives to Burrow throwing up a fourth down. Yes, he did. Kirk threw a shorter pass on a fourth down. Yes, that happened. We also just pretend that these other plays that Kirk made throughout the year didn't happen because it fits the narrative. And it just boggles the mind that the number of things that were being twisted into see it's Kirk, like everything that was happening with the 49ers and their quarterback situation. Everyone was like, oh, they should trade for Kirk Cousins. They need to trade for Kirk Cousins now. Well, why would the 49ers want to trade for Kirk Cousins? These are the same people who have been saying for 5 years that Kirk Cousins is a fucking terrible quarterback who can't win, who's overpaid. He doesn't perform in the clutch. He doesn't do this, doesn't do that. Well, why would the 49ers then want to trade for him? When they've been on, they've lost an NFC Championship game 2 years in a row. Well, Kirk Cousins can't get them over the hump because Kirk Cousins isn't any good. That's what these people say. But now they think that the 49ers are going to trade us a bundle of draft picks or players or Trey Lance or whoever to get Kirk Cousins. Well, why would that happen? There's no consistency in logic at all with the Kirk Cousins Derangement Syndrome people. Everything that was happening, like oh look, the Eagles got to a Super Bowl, with a cheap young quarterback. Meanwhile, we have Kirk Cousins. Okay, that's what happened. That's what happened. A team got to the Super Bowl with a cheap quarterback. Doesn't always happen. I know everyone's such a prisoner of the fucking moment that no one can ever remember anything that happened 5 minutes ago, let alone a year ago. Last year, last year you had Matthew Stafford in the Super Bowl. Very similar situation to Kirk Cousins. Difference is Matthew Stafford had a defense. And that's of course the thing that we keep hearing is, oh, Kirk Cousins' contract is capped. It makes it impossible to spend money on defense. No. We spend as much money on defense as any of these teams that were playing yesterday. We just don't spend it very well. We've got a lot of aging, I don't like to use the term washed up, but we've got a lot of guys who just aren't very good anymore. Sorry. Like they were good. They were very good as recently as a couple years ago, but they're just not that good anymore. It's not about we can't build a defense because we pay Kirk Cousins. It's just you can't. These people do not deal in facts at all. It's just blind hatred of Kirk Cousins. And again, I feel like an idiot for thinking that it actually had changed at all throughout the season. You know, but these people, a lot of these people claim to be Vikings fans. They are not Vikings fans. They were happy with what happened at the end of the Giants game. They were ecstatic that the last meaningful play of that game was a negative play about Kirk Cousins that they could harp on all off season, and they're never gonna shut up about it. They're never gonna shut up about him throwing a short pass in 4th and 8. And I ain't defending the play. I've never defended the play. but one play does not erase a body of work, both for that season and for seasons past when the only thing that anyone cared about was the team record. Um, and we had a losing record, and so that was all Kirk Cousins' fault. Then suddenly we win 13 games. Kirk Cousins has nothing to do with it. Then we lose a game to the Giants in which we only forced 2 punts, and one of those was only because a guy dropped a comically wide open third down crossing route that would have ended the game right there. But that's Kirk Cousins' fault. 31st ranked defense in the league, absolute disaster unit, got the defensive coordinator let go, days after the season. But no, it's all Kirk Cousins. It always comes back to Kirk Cousins because people just don't get it. People are so brainwashed by the media, by the sports media in this country. They think that the quarterback is literally the only player on the team. They don't think anything else matters. They just don't. Everything is Kirk. If we don't have a defense, it's because of Kirk. If the defense plays poorly, it's because of Kirk. If we win, it's because of the team. If we lose, it's because of Kirk. Like they're so set in this mania of hatred of Kirk Cousins, and I've been ranting about it for years. I'm adding this to my playlist, the Kirk Cousins Derangement Syndrome playlist. I've got a whole freaking series of videos in which I've been complaining about this for years. I haven't had to make one for a long time because I thought I ultimately winning kind of cures all, I guess, maybe. But I mean, I knew that some of these people, certain media people, like the Score North assholes, like I knew they were just pretending to not despise Kirk Cousins, during a 13-win season. But still, I mean, the fact that people like look to some of these media people as like, as people to like look up to and like learn from, like they're learning something. These people are maniacs who just hate Kirk Cousins so much that it just consumes them to the point that they are watching a pair of football games yesterday that have nothing whatsoever to do with Kirk Cousins, and all they can do for 6 hours of football is think about Kirk Cousins and think about every little play. Oh, look at this! How do I make this a shot at Kirk Cousins? How do I make how do I make this my argument that Kirk Cousins sucks? And these people have the audacity to say that Kirk supporters, the Kirk Crusaders, the Kirk stands, whatever other derogatory bullshit name these fucking pussies come up with, they have the audacity to say that the Kirk supporters are the ones who are obsessed with him. No, it's you motherfuckers who are obsessed with him because every single game, it's all about looking for things that Kirk Cousins did wrong. And I'm sorry, he's not a perfect football player. He's never been a perfect football player. He will never be a perfect football player. There is no perfect football player out there. I am sorry. I would take Patrick Mahomes over Kirk Cousins. Sure. Of course I would. But it's like even Patrick Mahomes is not perfect. Patrick Mahomes had a terrible fumble in the game yesterday that led to the game getting tied up. I don't know. I can't deal with these people anymore. I've almost reached the point, and I don't want this because not even a lot of these people claim to be like, oh, I just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before I die. No, you fucking don't. You don't want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before you die. You don't want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl ever because your whole act is feeding on the negativity. Fans like me, I desperately want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl. I want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl a hell of a lot more than most fans out there. And I'm not stupid enough to think that Kirk Cousins has been the thing holding us back for the last 5 years. Like we would be swimming in Lombardi trophies if only we hadn't made the horrible mistake of signing Kirk Cousins after the 2017 season. Like we have only got one playoff win in the Kirk era. That sucks. I wish we had more. We should have more. We would have more if the fucking defense hadn't collapsed. And the defense did not collapse because of Kirk Cousins' cap hit. The defense collapsed because we had a whole bunch of veteran players who just, they fell off. Like, I mean, some of them have been gone before now. Like Xavier Rhodes was, he was as good as there was in 2017. He just fell off the fucking planet. Like he just did. Anthony Barr, he just fell off. Linval's going to the Super Bowl, but he's as a backup. He fell off. Like, still guys who are still here, like Eric Hendricks. He's just not what he was. That's got nothing to do with Kirk Cousins being the quarterback. Like, yeah, we have a lot of veteran players on this team still, and there's going to be a lot of pruning of the roster this offseason. But we got a lot of like veteran players who are highly paid, and they're just not. They're not living up to their contracts. You know who has lived up to his contract? Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins has been, wherever you want to rank him, he's been one of the best quarterbacks in football the last few years, as the defense has just cratered. And we saw this year, like you get an offensive coach in here. Look at what happened. Like we went from 8 wins 2 years in a row to 13, and I know that I think a lot of this the whole like Vikings are frauds, and look at their DVOA. It doesn't matter. A lot of that. I think it kind of slipped past me that a lot of this was the new excuse for not giving Kirk Cousins any credit, because I mean. Yeah, this was certainly not a Super Bowl caliber team, certainly on defense. But we won 13 games with the 31st ranked defense. That's a hell of a reflection on the quarterback. And Kirk didn't play 17, well, counting the playoffs, 18. He didn't play 18 perfect games, but he played a whole lot more really good games than bad, including the playoff game. Like, he was really good in the playoff game. Sorry, he was. Don't like the last play, but he shouldn't have had to be in that position. Do something on defense in the whole fucking game, man. And a lot of these people, they seem to recognize, they pretend to recognize that the defense is terrible, but then it's like this just lip service, and it just immediately goes back to Kirk is terrible. He's not a leader. He's a choke artist. Whatever. Like all the narratives. So many of these narratives are such bullshit, and they've been disproven for years. And people just go back to them because they're not smart. A lot of it just comes down to these fans are just idiots. They don't understand football, and they're fed a bunch of bullshit by agenda-driven media people who have hated Kirk Cousins since the moment he signed the fucking first contract. Remember the $84 million guaranteed, it's going to kill our cap, it's going to kill our roster. And then all we did is just kept getting extensions for players after that. And maybe some of them we shouldn't have. I mean, that's certainly an argument to be made that we shouldn't have, But I mean, and there's certainly a lot of valid arguments to be made about certain veteran players, expensive veteran players that we've got right now who maybe should be gone, Whether it's Kendrick, not just guys on the defense like Kendricks, but I mean guys like Dalvin Cook or Adam Thielen, like they're not quite living up to their to what they're getting paid. Kirk Cousins is, because the argument, and obviously there's a lot more of it coming out after yesterday because of the Eagles get to a Super Bowl with a young quarterback. It's like you gotta get that young quarterback on the rookie deal. Well, not really, because there have been a few quarterbacks who have gone to Super Bowls, on cheap deals. But generally, that's not how it works. Because guess what? If you're going to be led by the quarterback, it takes a while for a quarterback to be good. Patrick Mahomes is a unicorn. He's just not. You can't replicate what has happened with Patrick Mahomes, where a guy comes into the league and he's like the complete package, and he's the complete package right away. You can't. That's never happened. I mean, he's been a starting quarterback for what, 5 years, and they've been at least in a conference championship game every single one of those years. This is, I mean, it's historic. You can't duplicate this sort of thing. You know. Meanwhile, there have been a lot of other quarterbacks, good quarterbacks, maybe even, I certainly in some cases you could say better than Kirk Cousins. They haven't been able to even get to a Super Bowl. Josh Allen hasn't been to a Super Bowl. You know, Burrow has not won a Super Bowl yet. You know, this could be the peak of the Bengals. We don't know. Like, there's a what was the stat I saw yesterday that like something like the last 16 quarterbacks who got to a Super Bowl and lost their first Super Bowl never got back. I mean, it's hard to get to a Super Bowl. I mean, again, Mahomes, this will be what, 3 times in 5 years for him. That's an outlier. You can't judge it off that. Like there's been a lot of other quarterbacks, really good quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson wins an MVP. I don't believe he's even played in a conference championship game yet. And now he's going to get paid. Like if your whole mission is like, we have to have this top of the line rookie quarterback or young quarterback, and it has to be on a rookie deal. That gives you maybe 4 or 5 years, and that quarterback has to be that quarterback either has to be that great immediately, which is very rare, or you have to be just a fucking wizard about the rest of the roster, which I guess you could say is what the Eagles have done. Like, but I mean, again, we're spending money. We have money. I just saw today that the cap's going up like another $20 million for next year. Like, so the Vikings are going to have a lot of money to spend, even if they do nothing with Kirk Cousins. They're going to have a lot of money to spend with some of the guys they're probably going to get rid of, and then the cap going up. It's all about making the right moves. You have to make the right moves. It's not about, if we just get rid of this damn expensive quarterback, we could really build a Super Bowl roster. No, you can build a Super Bowl roster right now. You don't have a Super Bowl defense, obviously. I don't know that you necessarily have a Super Bowl offensive line, but I mean, you can. We've got certainly pieces on the offensive line. But I mean, yeah, it's all about the defense. It's all about the defense. It's not about Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins did not keep the Vikings from doing anything this year. Because I'm sorry, like, yeah, maybe he does something different on the 4th and 8. Maybe we go tie the game, but then we probably lose the game because the fucking defense was shit. I mean, I hated the way the season ended. I hated I'm still sick that this season and this team ended without even winning a playoff game. It's nauseating to me. But they weren't winning a Super Bowl. This was not going to be a team that wins a Super Bowl. And it's not because Kirk Cousins was holding us back. It's because we had the 31st ranked defense. No team has ever won a Super Bowl with this poor of a defense. Very few teams can even win 13 games. Hell, very few teams can even have a winning record with this bad of a defense. But Kirk Cousins got us there. And now so many people in this fucking fan base and media want to just throw him out like a piece of trash. Because they buy into this bullshit. They buy into the narratives. They still buy into this shit. Why? I don't understand why the concept of like critical thinking is just gone. Maybe this is a society problem. I don't know what it is. It's like Kirk Cousins is not holding us back. Now, the one thing I will allow, I have no problem if Kwesi and KOC, if they want to have some sort of succession plan, mapped out, because Kirk Cousins is still very, very good, but he's 34, 35, and yeah, we've seen a lot of quarterbacks who have gotten, into their late 30s and even beyond, still be very productive, but you don't want to necessarily count on that. So I don't really have I would be pretty pissed if they used the first round pick, if they use the first round pick this year on a quarterback. And it's not because I'm like high on prospects or not high on prospects. That's got nothing to do with it. I don't know who's going to be good, and no one knows. But I just don't see this as the year to do it. Now, there's a lot of like Trey Lance rumors out there. Um, if you could get him for something for relatively cheap, I would be okay with that. Like you could like I'm not the people who the KCDS people, they think that the Kirk supporters like myself will never accept a world in which Kirk Cousins is not the quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings. That's completely fucking false. I don't want to throw him out like a piece of trash because it's not what he is. But yeah, you eventually there will come a time, I mean, Kirk Cousins has been the quarterback for 5 years. I don't know that he's going to be for 5 more years, so he's probably already halfway, past the halfway point with this team. But I'm fine with there being a succession plan. Most of these fucking people who hate Kirk Cousins, they don't care about a succession plan. They just want Kirk gone. They don't really care who the next quarterback is. They don't care if it's a first round draft pick, rookie, some retread, whoever. They just want Kirk gone. They just want someone who's cheaper. Well, guess what happens? You get a cheap nothing quarterback, and then guess what? You're not winning, and then you're let's say then Kwesi just is a wizard. Every move he makes, building up the defense, building up offensive line, rest of the roster. Guess what you're going to be doing in a couple of years? You're going to be like, boy, we really need a quarterback to go with this. And I'm also fascinated. I know I'm very rambling on these, but this is a rant video for sure. The people who are like, oh my God, we got, they're freaking out about paying Justin Jefferson. What do you think Justin Jefferson is going to think if you get rid of the fucking quarterback who has helped him to set records, in his first 3 years? And, a lot of these people want to tank. Like, do you think Justin Jefferson is going to want to fucking stick around for 2, 3, 4 years while you do some massive, like, nuking of the roster and a rebuild? Because whatever, heard so many times over the years, like with star players, like the Vikings are wasting so and so's prime. Well, what the hell what would that be for Justin Jefferson to wait? You're gonna just waste his prime with just tanking for the sake of tanking or whatever. And I don't think Kwesi and KOC are anywhere close to this stupid as a lot of these fans. I don't think they're going to do it. It's been laughed at, the concept of the competitive rebuild, but yeah, I think they're gonna keep doing this, and I think they should, because you just won 13 games with a horrific defense against a fairly tough schedule. Now, everyone's of course freaked out about the schedule for next year because we've it's first place schedule, so we've got some on paper some tougher teams. Okay, including I could be wrong. I think like every one of the teams that played yesterday is on the Viking schedule for next year. And like, yeah, it's gonna be tough. I'm not saying they're gonna win 13 games next year. They're not. Like that's hard to do. That's very hard to do. I don't think the Vikings have ever won 13. In fact, I know they haven't won 13 games in consecutive years. I mean, even go back to when there was like a 14-game schedule. They I don't even know if they won like 12 in consecutive years. They might have, but it's hard to do. But I mean, you could win. It could be one of those years where you have a worse record but a better team. Like you improve that defense, you can go 10, win 10 or 11 games, win a division, and be much more equipped to make a run in the playoffs. Because sorry for all this fucking hype out there about the Detroit Lions. Sorry, NFC North still runs through Minnesota for next year, unless they decide to blow it up, which I completely disagree with. That's another reason why you don't. You could own this division for several more years, even as you're doing a rebuild. And I hate these people. I hate them. They don't want the Vikings to succeed in a big way. They just don't. And then they insult. Then they attack the same people, the Kirk supporters, and they're like, you're just scared. You just want to be mediocre. You just want to be You just want to be one and done. You don't care about winning a Super Bowl. Fuck you. You don't understand anything. I want to win a Super Bowl way more than you do. You fucking tank Nazis. You Kirk Cousins Derangement Syndrome assholes. You do not want the Vikings to succeed. You just want Kirk gone because and we've seen this over the years. There's always like a fixation from this fan base on one person, and this one person is holding the Vikings back. For years, it was Adrian Peterson. If we could just get rid of Adrian Peterson, we'll win a Super Bowl. Years before, if we just get rid of Dante Culpepper, we'll win a Super Bowl. No, there's never like a player holding a team back from winning a Super Bowl. There's a unit. There's a defensive unit, and I think a defensive coordinator who was holding us back in a big way. I mean, if we had like a 15th ranked defense this year, we might still be playing. We might be going to Arizona right now because we had the offense. We had the offense to do it. And why did we have the offense to do it? Because we had Kirk fucking Cousins. But these fucking people, man, they don't see things clearly at all. They see Kirk Cousins as the villain. They've seen him as the villain since the day he signed, because he took guaranteed money and it killed our cap, even though it's been proven over and over and over that he has done nothing he has done has kept the Vikings from making moves. They just haven't made the right moves, and they kept a bunch of defensive veterans who fell off. That's one of the it's the old thing of you want to get rid of a guy a year too early instead of a year too late. Well, there have been some guys that we've kept more than a year too late. Bad defensive drafting from Rick Spielman in the latter years. There's just not a lot there. To show for many years there at the end with Spielman. It's like there's talent. There's definitely the talent, this year on the defense to be better than they were, even with some of the faded guys. I mean, obviously there was a lot of misuse of talent. I mean, I don't know what the fuck Donatell was thinking with what he was doing with Danielle Hunter all year. It's just baffling. But I mean, you saw it like in some of the fourth quarters with some of the things the defense was able to do here and there, make a play, make a splash play to win a game or secure a win. But it's not sustainable. I mean, and it wasn't. I mean, the defense got worse during the year because there was never any adjustment, and that's what held us back. It was not Kirk Cousins that held us back. I understand that the quarterback is always the number one topic with basically any franchise. It's one of these things you want to get clicks, you want to get views. Just talk about the quarterback. I guess I'm testing that myself. But I just see the world differently than these people. I don't know how you can watch what we watched with the Vikings for 4 months and come away thinking that Kirk Cousins needs to go, and that he's the problem. But then again, I don't understand how people watched 20 and 21 and thought that of Kirk Cousins. And he had his best year. Maybe not statistically, but certainly his best year in terms of, clutch play. And look what happened. We won 13 games with the 31st ranked defense. And all people want to do is get this guy out of town. Trade him to whoever. Just get rid of him. God, I was going to do a video about this shit the other day. I didn't really have time to do it. There's people out there who want Tom Brady. They would rather have Tom Brady than Kirk Cousins. What are you fucking thinking? You want so the argument, you don't like Kirk Cousins, so you want to bring in a quarterback who's a decade older, who is like the absolute king of checkdowns. I mean, I think he set the record again for completions, because every fucking pass he threw was 3 yards the whole season. and he won 8 games with, and they want him. They want him. I fucking hated Tom Brady from the start. I hated him before it was trendy. But you're not getting mid 2000s or even late 2000s Tom Brady. Anyone who is honest in any shape, way, or form understands that Kirk Cousins right now is better than Tom Brady right now. That's just a fucking fact. And these people the Vikings win 3 games this year if Tom Brady is the starting quarterback. And people want that? They want him here? Oh my god. What am I at here? 35 fucking minutes. Holy shit. Better be watching on 125 speed or this is gonna be taking up your whole day. These people are just sick. These Kirk haters, I'm a fool because I actually believe that something had changed. I actually believe that something had changed with how this fan base and media looks at Kirk Cousins. Like it just can't be as simple as we didn't win the Super Bowl, so therefore Kirk Cousins is bad. It can't be that. Try to think for your fucking selves. I don't know if like the Kirk Cousins Derangement Syndrome people would even ever see this thing because these people love their fucking echo chambers. Holy shit. But like we won 13 games with the 31st ranked defense, not solely because of Kirk. It's funny. It sure is funny though how QB wins because obviously a lot of the Kirk haters they're married to the QB wins argument. Well, funny how that fucking changed in a big hurry once we won 13 games instead of 8. Then it's Kirk had nothing to do with it. It's a team game. You gotta understand it's a team game. But then it's not a team game when we lose a playoff game, forcing just 2 punts and no turnovers and just being run over the whole game. But it's not a team game then. The playoffs because did you see that 4th down play by Kirk? This is why you can't. I mean, you can't have an honest debate or an argument with the Kirk Cousins Derangement Syndrome crowd because they just change their argument. They move the goalposts every single time. It's like Kirk Cousins is bad because we only won 8 games the last 2 years. Okay, well now we won 13. Oh no, it's got nothing to do with Kirk now. They go back to 2018. They're like, he came to a 13-win team, and then they only won 8 games and missed the playoffs. Blah blah blah. Well, is that so? So now 2018 matters. 2022 doesn't matter. That's kind of convenient for certain people. So I don't know how much more I've got to say on this topic. I mean, want to get into like predictions of what's going to happen with Kirk this offseason. I don't know if they're necessarily going to sign him to another extension. I would if I had to put like my number one prediction, I would say they're gonna extend him again for another year or two. I mean, I predicted that when Kwesi extended him last offseason. That was nuclear time when people just immediately hated Kwesi because they had been led to believe that the second someone who wasn't Rick Spielman got in here, they were going to be like, they're going to see the new guy's going to see Kirk Cousins the same way we see him, as a bum, as a terrible quarterback, as overpaid and no good. Well, they didn't see it that way, and so people were just immediately like done with Kwesi after that point. All the hatred of Kwesi that you've seen since for damn near a year now, it's because of that. It's because he didn't get rid of Kirk Cousins. And I don't think they're going to get rid of Kirk Cousins this time. I mean, we've seen crazy stuff with quarterbacks the last few years, like big names traded. Aaron Rodgers might be traded this offseason. We'll see if that happens. Tom Brady might be on the move again. Lamar Jackson might go somewhere. Like there's gonna be there's gonna probably be some big moves again, quarterback position. But yeah, I would say number one, most likely is they're gonna extend him for another year or two. and we'll see what the money thing is there. Although the money thing is kind of just it's just the shield for the Kirk haters. They don't really care what his salary is, what his cap hit is, because there's no amount of money that would be okay if he took the league minimum. They'd still hate him. It's really got nothing to do with that. That's just their excuse. So I don't know if if he gets a pay raise, pay cut, set it up set it up differently for how it hits the cap. I don't know, but I would you know the overwhelming odds that Kirk Cousins is still the quarterback next year and beyond. Now, will they maybe try to do like a Trey Lance thing, get him in here, let him sit under Kirk for a year or two? I don't know. Maybe they'll go get someone else. I know what Zach Wilson had been mentioned, during the season. I don't know if I like, you know, you get a guy out of a bad situation where they can maybe have a little more of a shot. You know, we'll see. But I have nothing against them having a succession plan. I just don't know that this is even the year to do that, because I think the NFC North is still there to be had, and you improve the defense a little bit. I think the NFC is there to be had. I mean, I don't think the NFC was very good this year. And that's of course the tragedy of having this season where you had this really great offense and really bad defense, and you could have maybe done something more. And maybe maybe I think maybe Kwesi's going to be regretful that he didn't go a little more nuclear on the defense last off season. So a lot of people thought that last year was going to be the year where they really blew it up. I think this is going to be the year where they more not blow up the roster, but get rid of a lot more of the veterans. I think a lot of guys are going to be gone. Big names are going to be gone over the next couple months here. But Kirk Cousins ain't going to be one of them. Sorry. I would be stunned if they. I mean, they're not going to release him. Obviously, it's either he'll be here or he's traded. I don't think he'd be traded and I don't think it's because you know he wouldn't have value. Like, there's a lot of teams, and yeah, the 49ers would probably love to have a Kirk Cousins. I mean, because they're still a Super Bowl ready team. I mean, are they going to run it back with Brock Purdy and hope that Mr. Irrelevant can actually keep this thing going? I mean, I don't know if there's certainly a flukish element to that, and or do they want to keep going with Trey Lance, or they want to keep going with Garoppolo, or what? Like, I don't know, but like I would almost, for Kirk's sake, I almost wish he would get out of here, go somewhere else where he can have a fan base that doesn't look at him like a fucking villain. It's just sickening to me. I mean, we've had individual years better than anything we've seen from Kirk, but man, it's been the best consistency from a quarterback spot that this franchise has had since Fran Dargenen. And we look at him, so many people in this fan base look at him as a bum, and it's sickening to me. And they just look for reasons to hate on him. Like, he's the whole reason we haven't won a Super Bowl in the last 5 years. Well, no, he's not. Not by a long shot. But yeah, I think Kirk will be back next year, and I think they'll make if they make quality moves, overhauling the defense. Obviously, defensive coordinator is still up in the air. I think it'll be Brian Flores if he doesn't get hired as the Cardinals coach. I think they're just kind of waiting that out. But there's a couple other names out there that are that could be good. It's not all. It wasn't 100% Ed Donatel, but it was pretty close. But we do need turnover on personnel as well. We need some injury luck. We need to get Lewis Seen, Andrew Booth, Caleb Evans. We need to get these guys healthy and ready to roll. And they're going to have money. I mean, they're going to be able to save a pretty good amount of money if they get rid of some of these older veterans. Cap goes up, like, they're going to have money. They're going to have money to spend. And they got to do the JJ extension too, but that doesn't even have to kick in this year. Like that could kick in the future. Like they're going to have money to spend on defense to swap out some of these guys. It's just a question of do they make the right moves? And if they do, maybe next year the Vikings are the team that's going to the Super Bowl. I don't know where the Super Bowl is next year, but maybe we're the ones going there because we kept our really good offense intact. And maybe get another wide receiver in there if we let go of Thielen. But you know, Kirk can actually have a second year with an offensive system and a play call. I don't think he's ever had that. At least not with the Vikings. At least not for a full year. He had a little bit of Stefanski and then a full year of Stefanski. But and then these people want to tank because they just hate Kirk. Like you give up opportunities, and then you're gonna be like, "Ooh, we just wasted Justin Jefferson's prime." Well, you seem to want to waste his prime by going into a rebuild, and it's not because people are scared of the possibility of losing seasons. It's because it doesn't guarantee you shit. Tanking has never worked. Tanking has never worked in the NFL. I don't know when it became this thing that everyone wanted to tank all the time, but it doesn't work. It just does not work. Sometimes you're bad, and that leads you to drafting somebody good. But also, a lot of times it just leads to you drafting another bad player. So I've been talking way too fucking long here. So I'm going to cut it off there. But god damn it, these fucking Kirk Cousins haters. I hate these people so much. They are just dishonest idiots, and I can't stand them. And I can't believe they're still here. And I can't believe I ever believed they were gone. But sorry haters. Kirk's back next year, and that's going to actually be a good thing for the team. So, you like that?